Have you ever found yourself undermining your own efforts? Like maybe you have a plan to make a change in your life, or maybe it's a big change. Maybe it's something that you're excited about and you really want. And so you make a plan, you get started on it, you're super excited about it, you're going for it. But then after, I don't know, a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, all of a sudden you find yourself kind of backtracking like this is too hard or it's too complicated or it takes too much time or I can't do this or you know what, this is not even working. I'm going to have to come up with another plan. Have you ever had this happen to you? This happens to me all the time, over and over and over again. And we all know what's causing it. We know exactly what's causing it. It is self sabotage. We are literally undermining our own efforts to have a better life, to do things that we want to do. Why would we do that? Why would we sabotage our own efforts? Well, the real reason behind all of that is because somewhere deep inside of us, we have a certain standard. It's a belief that we have established that we hold to. And our brains, once they have this belief, it's like a definition of who we are. That's exactly the programming that our brains check everything against. Anything that comes into our life, our brains just check and see, does this fit into our programming? Yes or no? If it does, go with it. If it doesn't, tosses it out. This is what our brains do. It's actually a really efficient way of doing things if you think about it, because our brains already have this standard, they already have this definition. So it filters everything in our lives, all of the input that comes into our life through that filter. And it makes it just the flow so much easier and more efficient. Well, unfortunately for us, that also makes it really hard for us to, especially, make big changes in our life. Because as soon as we start making that change, our brains are like, "Meh, this doesn't fit the definition. Stop, halt, go back to the definition." And that's why, after the 2 days, 3 weeks of doing something new, our brains has tolerated it doing it for that long, but it starts pulling us back. It starts saying, whoa, 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 you are not following the definition. Get back to the definition. That's what self sabotage is all about. Hi, I'm Caroline, and I'm smack in the middle of a major life overhaul. I mean, I'm changing how everything is in my life. And that is because about a year and a half ago, everything kind of fell apart for me with a major health issue. And since then, it's just been nonstop mess. And so I'm trying to piece my life back together. I discovered that I had a lot of these things that were stopping me, exactly what I was talking about a second ago. A lot of things that I was self sabotaging myself about. And so that's what I'm working on trying to change, a complete mindset change, how I see things, how I see the world, how I especially see myself, so that I can move on in life, so that I can be successful in the things that I really do want out of life, even though it seems like I don't. Today, I am sharing the worksheets that I have come up with, that I have designed to figure out what beliefs I have about myself and the world around me, what core beliefs are actually in the works behind the scenes that are causing some really great outcomes. But on the other hand, they're causing some really negative outcomes. So these worksheets I put together so that I could find what all of those negative beliefs were, so that I could start addressing those negative beliefs and changing them around so that I can start seeing successes in my life. Because I'll tell you, there's a whole heck of a lot of things that I have not been able to achieve in my life, and I have finally figured out that it comes down to, I keep stopping myself because I have to address these negative beliefs. Now, why did I put these worksheets together? It's because of this. I found myself in counseling. I've been to a couple of different counselors, well, actually three. But the problem that I kept running into in every single one of these situations with all three of those different counselors through 3 different years is that I would hit what they call peeling an onion back. You're going to the counselor, you talk about an issue, and you peel that layer back of that issue. Well, what happened with me is that I would peel the layer back, and it was like I didn't go to the next layer. It's like I cut straight through it, and all of these issues started popping out all over the place. Too many issues because I have a complicated history. I have what's called complex PTSD. That's what happens when As children, or I guess it could happen in adulthood too, we experience trauma over and over repeatedly, or it's just a constant thing in our lives. It's called CPTSD. And this is the problem for me. So when I would peel back one layer, it would unleash this Pandora's box of all of these issues. And so then I would like start dealing with this issue, and then I'd find myself way over here dealing, like, wanting to deal with this issue, but I couldn't because I found this other one and then this other one and this other one. And I just was getting so overwhelmed and I was shutting down. Because I was shutting down, I wasn't making progress. I was jumping all over. And that's why I came up with these worksheets. I decided that I had to get in front of this, I had to get control of this, and I needed to get organized. And I needed to stop trying to address everything all at once. I needed to just handle one thing at a time. So these worksheets are meant to help me find out what the issues are, get them in one place, and then choose which one I want to work on one at a time. And I'm sharing these core belief worksheets that I've come up with you so that you can benefit from them like I have. There is a link for them in the bottom in the descriptions where you can go and you can download that. So you can stop the video, go download it, and come back, and then we'll go over the worksheets together. So before I jump into the actual worksheets, I do want to give a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a therapist of any kind. These are just some tools that I have come up with myself so that I could put things together and get more organized and help myself to move on in life. Let's go ahead and look at the worksheets. The first worksheet is identifying negative core beliefs, and it says how I see myself determines my thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions every moment of every day. It's how I define me. Unfortunately, life and some hard experiences have left me with a definition of myself that is flawed and untrue to who I really am and who I am meant to be. This exercise is going to help me to lay it all out, what my life currently looks like, and the beliefs that got me here, as well as what I want my life to look like and the beliefs that I will need to adopt in order to make that life happen. So this very first page, you will not fill out just yet. You'll go ahead and turn to the second page, and where it says physically up at the top, and then on the side, it has my current status and the real me. And then that goes all the way down the line. There's lots and lots of lines so that you can write as many things as you need to. When we're talking physically, we're talking about anything physical that is negative happening in your life right now. For me, I had one, two, three, four, five, six. I had a whole bunch because I've got negative things going on because of my weight and because of my age. So for example, my first one, when you're going across the first row, it says, what's it like? My brain gets tired because it's still healing. And that's because I had brain inflammation last year, and long story, another video. In fact, I did already video some of those things. What does it say about me? The purpose of this part here is to draw out any negative feelings you have about yourself because of this condition. So for me, having a brain that doesn't work, I wrote down, I'm a loser, I'm disabled, I'm defective. So at that point, I would stop and I would flip over to the last page that has the list of the core beliefs. The whole bunch of core beliefs listed on here. These are the negative ones. Of course, you have positive ones. Of course, you do. But these are the negative ones. You know, if I'm calling myself a loser and I'm calling myself defective, okay, then that is clearly a belief that I have that needs to change. So that those things are actually on here. And because I've done a lot of core belief work, a lot of times when I'm filling out what does it say about me, I already kind of know what the core belief is, but maybe you don't. So go ahead and look at the core belief and see, is there one that resonates with you? Now, when I have done these activities in the past, I have found that as I go down the list, usually there is one that kind of, I want to say it calls out to me, it stands out to me, it resonates with me. Sometimes it just makes me cry. Like sometimes when I read it out loud, not necessarily in my head, but when I read it out loud, I kind of tear up. Well, okay, because I'm a weepy person. Like I cry easily. sometimes when I read one that really kind of hits me, it pushes my waterworks and I feel emotional. And that's kind of actually what you're looking for. You're looking for what draws an emotion out of you. When you're reading the list, is there something that's drawing an emotion out of you? I'm guessing that some people who are very disconnected from their emotions could read this list and have absolutely no response to it, even if some of these beliefs are true for them. And sometimes we are very disconnected from our emotions because you know what? Life has kind of beat that out of us. It hasn't been safe to feel emotions. In fact, that's even one of them on here. I believe that it's not safe to feel. So if it's not safe to feel, then it's going to be really hard for you to get in touch with your emotions. You could read the words and it just like flatlines. It doesn't have any meaning to you. And so it will take some other digging. I will stop and pause for a second. I did mention I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. And I did mention, pretty sure I mentioned that I have worked with therapists. I did mention that. It is very, 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 very important, in my opinion. If you are a person who has a trauma that is unresolved trauma that has not been dealt with and addressed, especially if you're a person like me who has chronic or complex trauma, trauma that has occurred over many years through childhood or through maybe a relationship that was devastating and very hard on your self esteem. That kind of trauma really does, in my opinion, need to be worked with a professional who has been trained in trauma so that they can give you the very best care, so that they can walk you through these steps safely and carefully and to help you to identify things. These worksheets that are here are just, kind of in addition to supplemental to help you to find those things. And they're things that you can share with your therapist. They're things that you can work with them and show them the work. I have found that in my counseling sessions that it's just not enough time with them. And a lot of the progress I make actually is when I'm doing work at home, when I am digging deeper at home, when I am trying to resolve things. And then I'm going to my next session and I have something that I specifically need their help with in talking through or in doing therapies. We'll also mention very quickly that therapists who are trained in trauma have a whole bag of tricks. They have different therapies and different modalities, is what they call it, to help you. And depending on your personality and what your situation is, and depending on what you need, that they can use for you. For example, my therapist uses several techniques. One is called accelerated resolution therapy, ART for short, but it's not like drawing, it's not art in that way. It's just a way of accessing your subconscious and reprogramming, like kind of replacing the memory in a good way, which is actually an amazing process. Another modality that she uses is hypnotherapy. She's done some hypnotherapy sessions with me that I have found to be very helpful. And also, she taught me EFT tapping. EFT tapping is has changed my life. Like I'm going to get emotional again because EFT tapping it is now a daily part of my life. I realize that I'm a very dysregulated person. My nervous system is regulated as a result of having complex trauma. Dysregulated meaning that I'm not good at handling emotion. Some people can experience something and they can go through that emotion and handle it. I use the word maturely, right? I have been very immature emotionally and being able to regulate my emotions, and they usually come out in big ways or not at all. And so having EFT tapping has helped me with regulating my nervous system. It's helped me with calming myself down. It's helped me with processing through things like trauma. Anyway, the point being, therapists have a whole bunch of things that they can use to help you. There's EMDR, there's IFS, there's just a whole slew of things that I don't even know about. And so I would encourage you to get in touch with a counselor, get a therapist who, if you have trauma, specializes in trauma. Okay. Back to the worksheet. On my worksheet, I filled out I'm a failure, I'm a loser. And then the real me down here at the bottom is, of course, what I don't I don't want to be a loser. I don't want to feel like a loser. So, what's it like for the real me? The me that I was born as, the me that I was meant to be, not messed up by the world, not messed up by situations, not messed up by crisis or trauma or whatever in life. The real me, who I innately am. So I wrote that what's my brain like? It's smart and it's capable and it's able to work for long hours. And then what does that say about me? It says that I'm capable. And then my core belief would be that I'm capable. And that's the exact opposite from I'm a loser, I'm a failure. And again, I left lots and lots of room available because we're very complex people. We have lots of things going on. My physical area was the longest. I only wrote a couple in socially. So you go through all of the pages and fill it out the best that you can with any negative things that are going on in your life. When you are done with that, you are going to look at this end part here with the core beliefs. You're going to accumulate. I found that I had lots of repeats. I had things that were showing all over the place, right? I'm a loser was like everywhere. I just felt like I'm 54 years old and dude, I have missed out on some of the things that other people my age have nailed. They've gotten it, and I didn't. So you're going to take all of your core beliefs and you're going to put them on the front sheet. That's what the front sheet is for. Okay, so you're going to fill it out. Once I had this list put together, I also put what's the opposite? What is what I want? Where the real me, returning to the real person I was meant to be. I found a lot of connections. So, for example, I started with I'm gross and I'm bad, and that was related to my weight. And then that led me over to I'm not good enough. I don't deserve love. And the things were connected. So, what I tried to do was I tried to group them together, but not too much because I have found this. As I'm working through these, I have found that sometimes the slightest nuance describes how I feel makes all the difference. So I was working with the first counselor I ever worked with, and we were doing some EMDR stuff. And we just were having a hard time nailing down what was the core belief that I was dealing with. And so as I'm talking, I'm expressing all of these things to her. And she said, "It sounds like you're saying that you feel like you're defective." And as soon as she said, I just like, I knew that was true for me. I knew that word, it just hit a nerve. And I said, that wasn't on the list. I had read her list that she had given me so many times, and that was not on the list. There were things close to it, there were things similar to it, but there was not I'm defective. I needed the word defective because that described exactly how I felt. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't be in a hurry to group them too much, too tightly together, because it may be that you have something like, I'm not good enough and I don't deserve. They kind of sound like the same, you're barking up the same tree, but they can be completely disconnected with how you feel in the way that you need to process it. I put check boxes over here on the side. And the reason I did that is because I explained before that I had so many layers. I'm pulling these layers off and it's this hairy mess. And I needed a way to be organized. I needed a way to feel successful. I needed a way to feel like I was moving forward and that I wasn't just like going to be stuck in this eternal hell of trying to come out from under my childhood trauma and my abusive marriage. Like I needed to see the progress. So I put little check boxes because that helped me. Like I could cross off I'm defective. I can cross off I'm a failure. I have crossed those off the list. I feel better in those ways. Every time I could check something off, it just alleviates, it gives me success. It helps me to feel like progress, like in moving forward, having to go through all of this. So you're going to look at your list. You're going to kind of organize it how you want. I didn't put mine in a certain order. I just picked out the one that was like, "Hey, you need to deal with this one right now." Okay. And that's what I started working with. So you're going to go to the next worksheet, and that's called Challenging Negative Core Belief. The way that I did this was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of silly, but I watch a lot of TV dramas. So I thought, let's put this negative belief on trial. That's what we want to do. We want to challenge it. It's not real. Most of the time, I mean, how can it be real? How can I am a loser be real? It's just not real. That's not the truth about anybody on the face of this planet. Just reading the very beginning part of this, it says, now that I have identified a belief that is steering me in the direction I don't want to go, it's time to turn it around. But this is not an easy task. That's why my first job is to begin to loosen the strong grip that my brain has on this negative belief by introducing other possibilities and viewpoints. This causes my mind to pause, take notice, and begin to question it. To do this, I'm going to put my negative belief on trial. I wrote it in kind of a silly way. I did that on purpose, not to make light of our history, especially if we have trauma in that history, but because I just helped me to kind of detach a little bit and look at it objectively. This exercise is in any way triggering because it brings up memories that you were not ready to handle. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just wait and work with a counselor or a therapist to handle those things that are very sensitive or too deep. The same thing about the other worksheets too. So this is putting it on trial. The belief of, and then you put your belief. So in the example that I'm going to show you on here, I chose, I don't deserve love. And then I put in parentheses because I'm overweight. And then it's, which has undeniably been the culprit behind causing all kinds of undesirable feelings and behaviors, including but not limited to, I just had a ton of things here. Things that feeling like I don't deserve love. When I looked back over the timeline of my history in my life, like, okay, yeah, clearly this belief has caused some problems. Moving on to questioning the belief. What evidence does this belief have to support the validity or justification of its existence? Evidence meaning, how did it manifest itself? Which we kind of talk about with some of the undesirable feelings and behaviors, but this kind of was a little bit more specific. Here, I was able to give some more details that weren't included in the other part. The next part is introducing reasonable doubt. So this is where we're going to start challenging that belief. Well, if you're in a court, you're like, well, is it possible that this, or what if this? And so that's what we're going to do about the belief. Introducing contradictory evidence is, in addition to questioning, in addition to raising other possibilities for this belief, is, you know, is there evidence out there that proves that this belief is false? So the verdict is, I want to have this new thought that is, I deserve to be loved no matter how I look. Okay. So what I do on the next page is then I'm going to take it through, I call them levels, like leveling you up. So we're going to put the negative belief down here at the bottom. I don't deserve love. And I put because of that. And up here, I deserve love no matter what I look like. And so because our minds do not want to go from one extreme to the next, they don't handle that very well. You're not going to be like, I'm a loser. And then the next moment, I'm like, no, I believe that I'm a success. Your brain's going to call bull crap. I have so much evidence why you're a loser. No. Okay. That's why we fail at our goals. That's why we don't move forward. We talked about this already. It's because our brains are like, no, this is our belief and we're sticking to it. Okay. So if we're going to change that belief, we have to kind of, I don't want to say trick it, but kind of, move it slowly into something that works better, but still believable. It's still believable, but it is moving in the direction. So our brains don't reject it. So we're going to do, instead of I don't deserve love, the next one would be I want to believe that I deserve love. Well, my brain can handle that one. I can give myself evidence for wanting to believe that I deserve love. Providing evidence for the new belief that I want is what I discussed in the last video in this series. And that one talks about the mindset daily journal that I have. And it really works. These levels here, it works on these levels to get them to go up and up, become this level belief. So there will be a link at the end of the video that links you to the mindset journal so that you can also take this work to the next step. The next step might be, is it possible that my lovability is not tied to my weight? So some other possible levels is I'm beginning to see that I deserve love just like everyone else. And then finally, that takes to I deserve love no matter how I look. No, you know what? If you need more levels, then just squeeze them in between. You don't have to have three. I just made that many spaces on the worksheet. You take as many as you need and take it as slow as you need. And I will say that taking it slow and doing it right is way more important than pushing yourself, trying to force your mind into believing something. I hope that this has been valuable to you. I hope that this helps you to kind of see in your life where there are some problems, maybe some patterns that are showing up in your life that have, some things that are not serving you, that are going against what you really want out of life. And as you address these, as you clear them up, as you feel better, that you can take steps forward, finally start accomplishing the things you've always wanted, but things that you maybe felt like were out of your reach. That's what is happening to me. It's like the world is opening up for me for the first time. Hang around, jump over to the next video. It should be showing up about now. Like this video, please, and subscribe. That helps to support me so that I can make more of this content and keep us connected. Take care of yourself, stay positive, and I'll see you soon.